Hello, my friends. Welcome back to our channel. And if you're new here, welcome to Faith Divine TV. So what if the life you've been chasing, the peace, the purpose, the joy, you already have access to it? What if there's a power inside you that can completely rewrite your story, transform your desires, and make fear disappear, but you just haven't tapped into it yet? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 7 life-changing things that happen the moment the Holy Spirit steps into your life. And trust me, what you gain cannot be explained. It must be experienced. The moment the Holy Spirit enters your life, something unexplainable begins to unfold. You start losing things you thought you couldn't live without. Old habits, certain friendships, even pieces of the person you once believed defined you. And yet as those things fade, what you gain cannot be fully described in words. It can only be lived. It feels like stepping into light after years of walking in the shadows. It feels like breathing for the first time after drowning. The Holy Spirit doesn't just move in quietly. He invades with love, power, and purpose, and suddenly your entire world begins to change. Number 1. Your identity begins to transform. When the Spirit comes inside you, He doesn't simply point out your mistakes. He unveils your true self. The you that God dreamed into existence long before anyone else had an opinion about you. Suddenly, the things that once fit your life feel strange and foreign, like wearing clothes tailored for someone else. Sin stops feeling like a guilty pleasure and starts feeling like an unnatural weight. You try to return to your old ways, but something deep within resists. That something is not your willpower. It's Him. The Spirit begins rewriting your story line by line, not as a harsh editor crossing out your failures, but as a loving author setting the record straight. You realize you're not the sum of your mistakes, not a product of your shame, not a prisoner of your past. You are a child of God, a new creation. The old identity begins to dissolve, not by force, but by fire. And in that refining fire, you discover freedom. For the first time, you start seeing yourself through God's eyes. And once that happens, everything else that tried to label you begins to lose its grip. Number 2, your appetite for the world begins to fade. The things that once thrilled you now leave you hollow. The desires that once drove you now seem small compared to the hunger stirring in your spirit. You notice yourself trading late-night noise for early morning stillness. Parties lose their flavor while peace becomes your new feast. You no longer crave popularity, you crave purpose. And this shift is not about becoming religious. It's about transformation from the inside out. The Spirit doesn't just sweep up the mess in your actions. He changes the menu of your desires. The cravings of your heart begin to detox. Entertainment that once numbed you feels empty. Distractions that once consumed you no longer satisfy. Instead, you start hungering for things that last, for truth, for wisdom, for the presence of God Himself. It's like your soul has been starving for years without you realizing it, feeding on scraps of temporary pleasures. And now, suddenly, you taste something real, pure, holy, eternal, and your appetite is forever altered. The Holy Spirit plants new longings in your heart. You no longer want what drains you. You thirst for what fills you. Number 3, spiritual warfare intensifies. The moment the Spirit takes residence within you, the unseen realms take notice. Life doesn't necessarily get easier. Far from it. What once felt like ordinary trials now seem amplified, sharper, more personal. Temptations that used to pass by like shadows now feel like storms crashing against the walls of your soul. Doubts that you thought you had buried long ago rise like tidal waves. People you thought were allies may pull away or even oppose you, as if the heavens themselves are rearranging the battlefield around your life. This is spiritual warfare, but not punishment, it's positioning. Spirit has placed you in the center of a clash of kingdoms, and He wants you ready, equipped, and alert. Galatians 5:17 explains the tension. The flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other. That conflict doesn't mean you're failing. It means you've switched sides. You're no longer neutral. You're no longer complacent. You're now a threat to the powers that oppose God's kingdom. And here's the beauty. The Spirit doesn't leave you defenseless. He arms you with discernment, strength, and resilience. Every trial, every temptation, every conflict is a sharpening of your faith. You start recognizing the patterns of deception, the subtle lies, the traps before they ensnare you. You may feel pressure, even attack, but in that pressure, your faith grows stronger, your identity solidifies, your reliance on God deepens. What once terrified you becomes an opportunity to witness His power working through you. Number 4, you start hearing God differently. The Spirit begins to tune your ears to a new frequency, a divine whisper beneath the noise of the world. Sometimes it's a clear voice in a quiet room. Other times it's a subtle nudge. Leave that conversation, call that person, extend that hand of help. It might be a sudden calm in the middle of panic, or a moment of clarity when confusion clouds your mind. John 16:13 says, "When the Spirit of truth comes, He will guide you into all truth." This guidance isn't always dramatic. It's often gentle, constant, and unwavering. And as you learn to follow it, life begins to open in astonishing ways. Doors that once seemed closed swing wide. Traps that once ensnared others pass you by. Peace settles in the most unlikely places. You realize that God's voice is not meant to alarm you, but to lead you with confidence, love, and clarity. The Spirit's guidance becomes a lifeline. You no longer rely on chance, luck, or your own understanding. Instead, you learn to live by a higher wisdom, navigating life with supernatural insight. The world may remain loud, chaotic, and unpredictable, but inside, you find rhythm, direction, and purpose. You are no longer wandering, you are being led. Number 5, a draw toward holiness. As the Spirit fills you, you discover a longing for something purer, something higher, something eternal. This is not legalism. This is not self-righteousness. This is alignment, a desire to reflect the heart of God in every thought, word, and action. You notice it in subtle ways. You prefer quiet over noise. You savor time alone in prayer and reflection. Worship transforms from background music to oxygen for your soul. 1 Peter 1:16 says, "Be holy because I am holy." This holiness isn't about perfection. It's about separation, being set apart from what numbs, what distracts, what dulls your spirit. And the closer you walk with God, the more obvious it becomes. The things that once satisfied you now feel empty. That once seduced now feels foreign. Compromise that once seemed harmless now makes your heart ache. This is the Spirit reshaping your appetites, pulling you toward light and away from shadows, toward life and away from death. Holiness in this sense becomes a joy, not a burden, a magnet that draws you toward God, rather than a list that restrains you. Number 6, boldness arises. The Spirit awakens a courage in you that defies human explanation. Acts 1:28 reminds us, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you." This power doesn't always manifest in miracles or dramatic moments. It often shows up in your voice, your choices, your willingness to stand for truth, even when uncomfortable. You begin to speak when you would have stayed silent. You act when hesitation once ruled. Fear no longer controls you. It becomes a shadow beneath the light. The Spirit shines through you. You stop shrinking to fit in. You start standing up for integrity, justice, and the things of God. Others may not understand your courage at first, but the presence of the Spirit makes your boldness unmistakable. It's a quiet authority that commands respect, not because of pride, but because heaven itself is backing you. People feel it. The world takes notice. Every step you take in that Spirit-led boldness strengthens not only your faith, but also the witness of God's kingdom through your life. Number 7, a death that brings life. Finally, the Spirit brings transformation through surrender. Galatians 2:20 says, "I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." Parts of your old self, the pride, the ego, the need to control, begin to die. This isn't destruction for the sake of destruction. It's death for the sake of resurrection. The old patterns that once defined you, the desires that once consumed you, the identity you clung to, these start to fall away. And in their place rises something new. Freedom, clarity, purpose, and life that the world cannot give. This is the ultimate work of the Spirit, not renovation, but resurrection. Before new life blooms, death comes. But in that death is a release. That release is freedom. And in that freedom is the life you were always meant to live. So now, after all these transformations, the identity reshaped, appetites detoxed, warfare navigated, guidance received, holiness embraced, boldness awakened, and old self crucified, you realize the truth. The Holy Spirit doesn't just touch your life, He redefines it. You are not the same as you were yesterday. You are more alive, more free, more filled with purpose than you ever imagined. And here's the question for you today. Has He truly taken residence in your heart? Or have you only visited His presence without surrendering fully? If something in your spirit stirs right now, don't ignore it. Invite Him in completely. Let Him invade every corner of your life, every habit, every thought, every desire. Comment invade if you are ready to surrender fully. Share this message with someone who needs a wake-up call. The Spirit is moving, the world is waiting, and your life transformed can be the evidence that God is not distant. He is alive, powerful, and present. Will you step into that life today? Will you let the Holy Spirit fully take over? The choice is yours. And heaven is ready to meet you in ways you can't even imagine. So until next time, stay rooted, stay real, and keep walking with Jesus. Thank you for watching and supporting this channel.